This episode's brought to you by Mando. Go to shopmando.com and use code DAN for a special offer. And stay tuned after the episode for more info. Hello, everybody from snowy Missouri. It's the kind of road trip that makes you happy for all-wheel drive. But I hit the road in order to see Captain America Brave New World. So I'm here with your new, as they like to call ASMR reviews when I'm on the road. Listen, the YouTube voice doesn't work great in a hotel room. Captain America Brave New World is from director Julius Onah. It's his fourth movie, and he's probably most notable for directing the surprise streaming release The Cloverfield Paradox a few years ago. The screenplay is credited to Onah and his partner Peter Glanz, as well as Falcon and the Winter Soldier creator Michael Spellman and his partner Dalen Musson, as well as Rob Edwards, whose last feature credit was The Princess and the Frog, with story credit going to Spellman, Musson, and Edwards. Moon Knight writer Matthew Orton was at one time a credited writer on the film, but is not credited in the final film. I bring up the writing credits because it's key to how I feel about the movie itself. At its core, Captain America Brave New World is a solid conspiracy thriller that I think had the potential to stand alongside Captain America the Winter Soldier and return the franchise to really its heights. I mean, Civil War was a great movie, but it wasn't really a Captain America movie. However, I think that this is also a film that seems partially stitched together by reshoots that ultimately I think compromise the final product. On the one hand, I think it's a triumph that this is a watchable, pretty good movie at all. But on the other hand, I think it's a tragedy that what could have been an all-time great MCU movie appears to have been lost somewhere in the process. Anthony Mackie gets his first starring role in an MCU movie as he fully takes on the mantle of Captain America, fighting to keep the country safe from enemies like the terrorist group Serpent and its leader Sidewinder, played by Giancarlo Esposito.
Hello, my name is Giancarlo Esposito.
Esposito is a good heavy, but he's relegated to a side character role in favor of a bigger villain. Although, honestly, I think this movie could have worked with him as the main bad guy. Cap is surprised to find himself summoned by newly elected President Thaddeus Ross, played by Harrison Ford, replacing the late William Hurt, who extends an olive branch in the spirit of uniting the country, but that olive branch is jeopardized by an assassination attempt carried out by the forgotten super soldier Isaiah Bradley, introduced in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and played once again here by Carl Lumbly. This attempt is just part of a bigger plan being masterminded by a villain whose identity is, I'm sure, known by those who have been following the casting and some of the publicity of the movie, but since it's not revealed in the trailers, I won't say who it is here, but it is a returning villain, and I liked both his look and his feel on screen, plus the performance of the actor, who I think is generally great in everything. This plot eventually culminates in a battle between Captain America and Ross, who's transformed into a Red Hulk. I liked their fight, but don't expect it to last throughout the movie. While it's effective, it's also essentially one big action sequence. Reshoots have been both the salvation and the damnation of MCU projects in the past, and it has been reported widely that there were heavy reshoots on Captain America Brave New World. And to my uninformed, admittedly, I think that much of the first half of this movie was reshot because so many scenes for the first half of the film are two characters or maybe a few more standing in a room and trading expositional dialogue, informing the audience directly about things that they might have missed from previous movies or previous shows. It smacks of a reshoot done because some sort of test audience said, I don't understand. The first half comes off flat, and I think that it was performed very flat too, because this first half doesn't play to Anthony Mackie's strength. So you don't really get to see what he can do in this role until the second half of the film. And I think that the second half of the film is much better acted. It works way better. And I think it's no coincidence that in the second half, you have the big action sequences and stuff that were probably on the page from day one. Do I know which parts of the movie were reshot or how much of it was reshot? No, but over time watching movies like this, I kind of pick up a sense, like a sixth sense almost, a spidey sense for reshoots and just the expositional nature and the awkwardness of the first half of this movie says to me that somebody determined that something there didn't really work, but they replaced it with something that I think also didn't really work. I think the second half of Captain America Brave New World is actually pretty good. Though the stakes are sloppily established, the payoff is strong, with some solid action sequences that incorporate a big plot point from an existing MCU movie that's been glaringly absent from recent films. It also serves to introduce a major new element in the MCU that's going to play a big part of their roadmap going forward. And this movie really ties together the past, future, and present of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It even reaches all the way back to Phase 1, to Edward Norton's The Incredible Hulk to tie off some plot elements there. The clean edges of the good parts made the rough edges of the not so good parts even more obvious. For example, it was clear to me that Anthony Mackie and the movie's main villain never shared a room together through some pretty sloppily done green screen. I wonder if those scenes were also part of the rewrites, because it seems like they just didn't even really have the time to try to integrate them into the same setting. That is most noticeable in the movie's somewhat forgettable post-credits scene. I really wouldn't worry about sticking around for it. It's not really a game changer. There's also a cameo from a returning character that I'm not sure was even the person themselves. I'm going to go see it again for my spoiler review, but I think that it might have been a deepfake version of a previous character that for some reason wasn't the actual person. I'm not really sure why this movie was so tough for Marvel to crack, seemingly. They were so good for so long at making movies, but now it seems like half of their theatrical releases are poorly assembled Frankenstein's monsters. I mean, the trailers feature several scenes that aren't in the final cut. The reshoots may not be new, but it's the sloppy incorporation of them that is. I guess the first version of this movie could have been worse than this one, but I don't know how you get to the point of shooting an entire third or more of a movie that doesn't work. This is the last feature film, really, to be birthed out of the COVID/early Disney Plus era of the MCU, when Marvel was given the directive to dramatically increase their output, and it feels like the other movies of its era, somewhat sloppily produced and haphazardly assembled and reassembled in the editing room. I will say that it does fare better than some of the other MCU movies of that era. For example, I think this is a better movie than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I think this is a better movie than the Marvels. Mackie doesn't command the role of Cap with the same authority as Chris Evans at first, but I think he's on his way by the end of the movie. Danny Ramirez also finds his way by movie's end to being a solid sidekick as Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon. Shira Haas and Zosha Roquemore both play key supporting roles that actually could have used a little more foresight and setup for them in previous projects. The standout performances of the film are Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley, who makes the most out of his limited screen time, our two villains, Giancarlo Esposito and the Mystery Man, who you probably already know, and Harrison Ford as President Ross. I guess it's no shocker that one of our great movie stars is great in a movie, but it would have been easy for Ford to phone this one in. Instead, he gives us full commitment as a president whose past is catching up with him and whose future is in doubt as the world crumbles around him. I guess the biggest compliment would be that it seems completely believable that he would turn into a big red monster, and really the President Ross storyline is what I'm going to walk away with as thinking is the most effective in the entire film. Really, I think this is both a celebration of what is and disappointment at what could have been. I guess it's good for Marvel to put out a not terrible movie that will likely, I think, adequately please a big part of the audience who show up for the action scenes. Let's be honest, they don't really care about stitching together things through reshoots. I get that. But I think it would have been even better for Marvel to put out a great film to announce the beginning of a new era. I think this movie could have been that great movie, and to be frank, I think that some people are going to think that it is. But to me, it seems, as has been the case with many Marvel projects in the recent past, that good became the enemy of great. Still, this is a pretty enjoyable film, and the second half is enough for me to bump it up into the lower area of the it's good category. I'm looking forward to a second watch for my spoiler review so I can decide whether the good or the bad elements are most prominent the second time. But what do you think? Are you excited for Captain America: Brave New World? Let me know down in the comments below. And before we go, I'm going to thank the sponsor for this review. This episode's brought to you by Mando. For people who celebrate Valentine's Day, this is the biggest date week and weekend of the year. And if you're going out for a big date, or anytime really, you want to feel as confident as possible. That's why it's great to add Mando to your getting ready routine. You put a lot of time into looking great, but you need to smell great as well. Mando is a whole body deodorant that's safe to use anywhere on your body, that has been clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. I use Mando year round with a really great smelling body wash in the shower and some stick and spray deodorant to use after. I'm a fan of the Mount Fuji bourbon leather scent combo, but Mando has lots of different scents for you to try. All Mando products are baking soda free and paraben free, and you can find them right now at Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. But for the best deals, you can go right now to shopmando.com. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for viewers and listeners of the show, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with my exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code DAN at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support the show and tell them that I sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Thanks to Mando for sponsoring this review, and thank you for watching. Be sure to stay tuned right here for the latest movie news, reviews, box office, and more. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.